Hey guys, today's video is going to be this little project build I'm putting together. Based around this motherboard I've just kind of had sitting around for a long time, and I just kind of wanted to do something with it, even if it's only temporary. So I figured I'd make a little video on it, because it's an interesting board. This is, let me see, it's an Intel, there we go. It's an Intel L44GX Plus, and this is a server motherboard. So this is meant for businesses, really. This is not like a home use or... Okay, sorry, my phone went off. Yeah, this isn't, as I was saying, this is not for like home use or a gamer or gaming enthusiast. This was for like an office or more likely a server. The things that make this board interesting is there's a lot of things built into it, but even more so, it is a dual slot 1 board, which are sort of uncommon. I'm not going to go so far to call them rare, but I think they are uncommon. I think the ones that use, I forget the socket name, but the ones that are, they're still Pentium 3s, but you know, they're in the regular chip form. The name of it eludes me at the moment, but those boards seem to be a good bit more common than these, the slot 1 boards. The cool thing about this, though, is it can take all kind of slot 1 CPUs, basically any slot 1 CPU. So this could be a dual Pentium 2 board or a dual Pentium 3 board. You can go all the way down to dual Pentium 2 233 megahertz CPUs, or you could go all the way up to, if you can find them, dual 1 gigahertz slot 1 CPUs. And I say if you can find them because this motherboard does not do 133 megahertz front side bus. It is only 100 megahertz front side bus. And finding slot 1 gigahertz Pentium 3s that will run on 100 megahertz front side bus, those are rare. So it would probably cost a bit of money or a bit of luck to find them. These two are identical 700 megahertz Pentium 3s. These two came with this motherboard when I got it. I'm not making an ultimate build here, so I'm not gonna invest the time or money into tracking down two matching 1 gigahertz CPUs. So what I'm kind of going for this, it's just kind of a fun project build. I'm kind of going for period correct server sort of setup. So yeah, as you can see, not fancy. We've got, you know, like printer port, 2 serial ports, PS2 ports, Ethernet, USB, probably 1.1, and we do have built-in video. They're not even color-coded. It's very just vanilla on there. So yeah, we've got your RAM. I think this takes up to 2 gigabytes. I'm not sure. I just have this load of SD RAM, PC 100 and 133. Some of these aren't even marked sizes. I'm just gonna put in whatever I can get in. They aren't even matching. I'm just gonna see what I can get out of it. Here we have, it's loaded with PCI ports, slots, ports, whatever you want to call them, and you may notice this little interesting guy. And this is just a 32-bit PCI slot. You can use regular PCI card in it. I don't have any 32-bit cards, and I'm not going to spend the time and money to buy one, but they weren't really, you know, video cards. This was really more meant for, you know, like Scuzzy controllers, network cards, stuff like that. There is one lone ISA slot though, which would be nice for a sound card. Built-in video is this little interesting chip. This is a Cirrus Logic CLGD5480. Whoops, sorry. So yeah, this on Wikipedia, this is the last video chipset that it says Cirrus. It doesn't say Cirrus Logic, it's the last one they made, but it's the last one listed. So I don't know if they made anything after this. I also don't know if this is a 3D capable chipset or chip. I don't think it is. I found one lonely post over at Vogan's, someone asking the same question, because apparently in the data sheet It says this chip can do, I think, like low resolution direct 3D, and it's a simple solution for 3D. But I think that was just like marketing stuff, and I don't know if this chip can do 3D or not. Next to it, you may notice this very large silver chip for Adaptec. It has built-in Scuzzy. So I forget the name of this type of Scuzzy, but it is the sort of newer one. I think this is a late 90s board. So yeah, built-in Scuzzy. You also have 2 built-in IDE, floppy. That's probably for like a COM port. But yeah, you got all these little jumpers here on the side. And then we have power, which is interesting because we have 3 power things here. We have this ATX one, we have this one, and then we have this other auxiliary one. So usually these are pretty common on dual CPU boards. It just gives you some extra power to run them. I have this little guy here. It's a 500 watt power supply I picked up for like $1 at a yard sale. So this is what I'm going to try using. It does have the little auxiliary one and there, but I don't have a connector for that, but I don't know if it's needed. I've seen some images of this motherboard online, and some of them don't even have this. This is just gone, and you just see the solder points. So I don't know what the necessity that is. I have also posted this motherboard too with only using these two, and it seemed to run just fine. So we'll see. So yeah, that's basically all for the motherboard. It's kind of interesting. I was going to throw in a 3D accelerator. Interestingly enough, I don't really have any PCI 3D video cards. I have some high-end 2D PCI cards, but not really any 3D cards. They're all AGP. This poor slow Verge is the best I had, but I think it's going to be more interesting just to use the onboard video. So, as for sound, I'm just going with something really simple here. This is just a weird, like a cut down, Creative Labs, what is it, CT4520. Yeah, it doesn't even have a real Yamaha FM chip on it. It is ISA though. 1999, so it fits good with the time period for this board. I'll be using this case here. Nothing really special, although it does have the nice little badge on it saying that it is designed for Windows 2000, Windows NT 4.0, and Windows 98. So it's a cool little mid-tower ATX case that we're gonna try to fit it in. I tried fitting it before and it did fit, so it should fit in there okay. Someone was me. At one time tried drilling holes in it to help with ventilation. Very ugly job there, but so yeah, that's the case I'll be using. I think for an OS, I'm just gonna go with Windows 2000 because, well, one, it's on that sticker, and two, it seems appropriate for a server motherboard of this era. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of put it together and see how it goes, and maybe do some quick little benchmarks or games tests on it. I'm not expecting much for it, but it just, yeah, you don't see a whole lot of these slot 1 boards. At first I kind of wanted to go for something a little different. I wanted to go for maybe 2 high-end 450 megahertz Pentium 2s. I thought that would be cool, but I just don't want to spend the money on this project, because this is really just a little throwaway project for me, just to do something with this board, even if just temporary. So well, let me put this thing together and let's find out what it can do together. Alright, so a little bit of correction. I've been reading the spec sheet and manual for this motherboard. See, I'm in the process of mounting it in the case. I was actually wrong about this slot. There are 2 64-bit PCI slots, but they are these 2 right here, this one and this one. They look normal, but these are 64-bit slots. I think they run at 66 megahertz as opposed to 33 megahertz, which is what PCI slots normally run at. This, I'm not sure what it is. It says it's a PCI ARO slot. I don't know. From what I can tell from the manual, this is for some kind of special Adaptec Scuzzy RAID card. So that's that. Also in the official manual there is this, like I said, this thing doesn't exist. So I don't know why it's on my motherboard. It just mentions and shows on the diagram this and this. Apparently I think it can run with just this, but under full server load, it says you really want to have the auxiliary power plugged in to supply that extra power. I double checked on the RAM. It takes up to 2 gigabytes, buffered or unbuffered, PC 100. So yeah, so it's gonna be kind of a tight fit in this smaller case. So I guess I'll continue working on it. Alright, so yeah, it's probably very hard to see. I'll zoom out a little bit, but yeah, it is very cramped in there. I don't really like how the PSU is kind of blocking the airflow with the CPUs and stuff, but I think it'll work. I just have it very basically. I don't even have a hard drive set up or anything. Just the power supply and, you know, the keyboard and everything plugged in. So here we go. Let's see if it does anything. Let me see. Okay, let's show the power supply is there. Well, okay, so we have some issues. That really doesn't sound good. Well, that's the fans going. I opened this power supply up before I put it in, and it looked good inside. Just don't like that sound. All right, well, I'll be back in a minute, and I got to figure out what's wrong with it. All right, well, I got it to post. The problem was the RAM. I had to switch out to a different RAM stick. I think, well, it makes sense as a hoverboard. I think it wanted like ECC RAM, and I didn't have that in there. So yeah, it looks like the problem it wasn't posting was because of the RAM. Unfortunately, I only have 256 megabytes, the type of RAM that this machine wants. But I mean, I guess that will have to do. So I guess my next step will be putting in a hard drive. You know, I'm thinking about just going Scuzzy. I think I have a Scuzzy drive. I think it's like ultra wide 2 or something. I believe I have a couple Scuzzy drives and a cable. So I mean, why not? Why not go the Scuzzy route? So we'll see how that works out. Alright, so far so good. Couple changes to my plan. First off, sound card. I don't know if you can see that. I ended up just finding ISA off 64. Then I'm just gonna kind of throw in there. It's probably a little better off than that that weird sound blaster I had. But anyways, for hard drive, I'm going the Scuzzy route, and I figure, you know, let's go all out. So what I've got here, this is actually, I think this is meant for a server, but this is a Scuzzy hard drive. It's only 36.4 gigabytes, which is more than enough for this machine that I'm probably not going to do anything with. But yeah, this is a 1500 RPM hard drive. So yeah, I mean, most of them are 7200. I think I've seen some of the faster Scuzzy ones at 10,000 RPM. But yeah, this is a 1500 RPM ultra wide Scuzzy. And the thing is, I had to use a little adapter thing that I had. Because it uses a special connection where power is transferred through the cable, so I had to use this adapter that has a little connector for the Molex power. But as you can hear, it's not that loud. You know, Scuzzy drives get a rap for being really loud, and sometimes they are, but this is louder than a regular hard drive. You know, and it's not under full load right now. Well, it is installing, but yeah, it's not that loud. So yeah, I'm installing Windows 2000, and you know, I've got to find some cover stuff here. But so far this build is going pretty smoothly. I'd knock on wood if I had any wood around me. But yeah, we'll see how this thing works out in the end. So far, so good. Alright, so it's pretty much done. Actually, this is probably one of the more non-problematic builds I put together. Even the power supply sounds kind of normal all of a sudden. The only thing, I mean, I would like to put more RAM in there. Like, you probably can't see back in there, but the only RAM that I have that will work is the 256 megabyte stick. This thing can take 2 gigs. I probably have more RAM that work. I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna take a minute to look around in my stash. But yeah, it loads up everything fine. I feel a little odd having all these unpopulated PCI slots. All I've got is the OS64 sound card in there. Yeah, there's the 1500 RPM Scuzzy drive. I just have a floppy, very basic CD drive. Cable management with my builds, as usual, sucks. I just kind of took everything and shoved it in this big space here. This drive gets really warm. I didn't want to put anything above it. That's about it. I mean, I feel bad too. I got this speaker, but it's useless because this thing has one of those piezo beepers on it. So, front, yeah. I think the bezel here is supposed to be like this, another curved one, but I couldn't find it, so I just used a regular one. It doesn't look too bad. It looks better than having the gaping holes on there. So, it's pretty much done. I guess the last step is really just firing it up and seeing how well it does. So, good news, digging around in one of my boxes, if you can see, it's kind of dark. I was able to find 4 matching sticks of RAM to give me 1 gigabyte, although Windows 2000 kind of says it in a sort of odd way. 1,048,044 kilobytes. It's a gigabyte. So I have went from 256 megabytes to a gigabyte of RAM. Yeah, I had to go through some boxes to find server RAM. Just an example, this is what the stick I had in it before the 256, and this is kind of like a regular stick of SD RAM. Server RAM, or I think it's called ECC, I don't know, don't quote me on that. I think it might be called ECC RAM or something. But RAM that meant for servers, usually in my experience, it's a little bit taller. The sticks are a bit taller than regular standard RAM. It usually has like extra little chips on it. I think that's for like parity checking or correcting or something. Yeah, but anyways, I'm pretty happy with that I was able to find some RAM that worked in this thing. So now I've got a gig in here. So I guess that was the cat. Okay, so I guess now it's just kind of doing some testing on it, seeing how well it performs. Like you can see, I haven't put in a 3D graphics card. If I do put anything in, it will probably be that Verge, because it's the only 3D PCI card I have, believe it or not. And I have a lot of video cards. I never really had a need for PCI card, or 3D PC 3D. Hell, man. PCI 3D accelerator cards. So, we'll see how this thing does with that Cirrus Logic built-in chip. Well, you know, guys, I spoke too soon. So yeah, as the theme with these videos, it's never as easy as it appears, and I should have not counted my chickens before they hatched when I said earlier this was a relatively easy build. Overall it has been, but the end result is freezing up whenever I try to run anything. See, I have CPU-Z going here, and it's froze. The system's frozen. It freezes up whenever I try to run any program. CPU-Z, SuperPi, anything to do benchmarks, any games. It'll load the program, but it will lock up. Yeah, just going around the desktop, it's fine. Like, I can go into my computer, I can go into display settings, change settings. You know, I can look through the folders, the files, but when I try to run any application, it'll just freeze up. And it's not just the mouse. Keyboard commands stop being recognized. It just freezes up. I tried going back to putting in that original 256 stick of a different branded RAM. That didn't work. I went to the BIOS settings. It's a server board, so the BIOS is pretty sparse, but I tried to set things to like default, failsafe. Nothing works. I mean, this is a problem I usually see with like video card drivers, but I mean, I've checked the drivers, they seem fine. It's not even a 3D chipset, it's the built-in Cirrus logic. So I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss at this machine, why it's freezing up. And I don't even know if I care or you know what I'm gonna do with this thing. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna put this video up, and if anyone has any suggestions on what could be the problem, on why this thing's locking up when I try to run anything, let me know, and maybe I'll do a short update video if I get it fixed, and then I could do some tests and see how well it runs. But you know, I have some other projects to work on, and I just don't really want to put any more time into this, because this is really just a side thing, you know, just to give this board a purpose. So yeah, in the comments, if anyone knows why this thing could be locking up on me, let me know. You know, I'll keep it out, so if I get any leads on what the problem could be, I'll work on it and see if I can get it running. But until then, I'm just gonna put this project on hold. So thanks for watching. It's kind of an interesting motherboard. Yeah, like I said, I think I'm just gonna call this project quits for now and put things on hold. Maybe, you know, if someone says something in comments, I can work on it and get it fixed. But until then, yeah, this little project PC, I think I'm just gonna put on hold. So thank you guys for watching. That's that.